Thanks for joining us. We begin on the road because drivers using the Mallam highway say the traffic situation is taking a toll on their daily activities. Though it appeared the traffic situation had improved at the time of our visit, drivers say they have had to endure long hours, thus affecting them economically. Nancy Mfa Jodosi has more.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, I spoke to one of the engineers here who told me that phase 1 had already ended and they were doing phase 2. So if you remember last week when we were here, we couldn't stand here because there were some drawings that they were fixing on this particular stretch. But it looks like everything so far has been covered, and it looks like the third phase maybe has already started because things here are getting better. Just that people keep complaining that traffic is still serious. So last time when we spoke to some drivers, they were complaining about the fact that they used to, use this road about 3 to 4 times or during the day, but because of the traffic, they're unable to do a lot of business during the day. So basically that is what is happening here at the Mallam junction. I'll try to speak to some drivers, but then it looks like they're not going to allow me because they want the vehicles to move as fast as it can so that those at the back will have the chance to also bypass. So that's what is happening here at the Mallam junction. If you know what the McCarthy Hill area is, that is where we're currently standing. Now, we are standing in the middle of this road. I know that few hours ago here would have been choked, but looks like right now they are following the traffic light that's working. So now the traffic light is green, so you realize that the vehicles are moving fast. I'm going to try to speak to some drivers who are stuck in this traffic because we know that this is where most other drivers got stuck during the day. Let me try and speak to this one. Good morning, sir. How long have you been in this traffic today?
Almost 2 hours.
Where are you coming from?
From barrier here, old barrier. 2 hours.
The cars are honking at us because they've been in this traffic for hours, and so when the least opportunity they get, then they want to just go. Let me just try and speak to. Okay, he doesn't want to speak. Let me get to speak to this one. Hello, thank you. Please, how long have you been in this traffic today, and where are you coming from?
I came from Botiano. Almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Out there without the traffic, how long does it take you to go to where you are?
At least 30 minutes.
How
40 minutes, 45 minutes.
But now it's 2 hours. How frustrating is it for you?
It's difficult for me.
Some frustrated drivers there, but speaking on the AM show earlier today, engineer Gabriel Engman indicated work is 60% done. He assured the road will be completed by weekend.
The drainage works actually is the main focus of that project. Every year at that junction, previously there was a total filling station there, and that filling station has been, let me say, defunct because of the perennial flooding that occurs at that junction. So every year when it rains or during the rainy season, that section of the road is always flooded. People's property and people's life are at risk. In fact, NADMO has always been under alert when it rains, and they've dedicated a team to be always going to that spot when during the rainy season when it rains. Even last Sunday, when it rained, they all came to that spot and they realized that, look, our work was going on very well, and they were very, very happy. So the idea of we doing this work is basically to alleviate that flooding problem. There is an existing culvert there which the capacity is very, very small. So we have assessed the flow there, and we've noticed that if we provide a bigger capacity, which we have done the design and everything, we would be able to get this problem solved. Now you see, it's a stream. It's called the Barley Stream. It flows, and water, if intercepted and not really given the free way to flow, it then overspills its banks and then causes damage to property and lives. So we want to remove that bottleneck exactly from that particular place. So far, we started on the 1st of May 2018. We have advanced very well. We have finished all the stages. The last stage of the work, which is about 60% complete as we speak. We anticipate that by the weekend will be done for traffic to return back to its normal state. And so we are glad with the work that we've done so far, only that we appreciate the fact that it's caused some hell of traffic.
Good news for road users there. No more traffic from Monday. Now, with support from the Multimedia Group Limited, First Lady Rebecca Ekufado facilitated the fundraising and construction of a state-of-the-art ultramodern maternity and mother and baby unit at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in the Ashanti region. Today, the First Lady has cut sod for the construction of an ultramodern pediatric intensive care unit at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital. Statistics from the hospital indicate 3 babies die daily due to congestion and lack of life-saving equipment.
For so many years, the children's block at Korle-Bu has been working under some very tough conditions. It is in a deplorable state and urgently needs facilities and resources to provide optimum care for children. I was told that about 6 years ago, the sod was cut for the construction of a new children's block. Unfortunately, no progress has been made to date. Meanwhile, congestion and lack of adequate equipment have made treatment extremely difficult. The pediatric services in Korle-Bu suffer from lack of space and resources to welcome and host emergency pediatric patients and neonates born outside the hospital. This leads to a crowded emergency room, which obviously makes it challenging for the great team of medical professionals to give the best possible care to these children. Since last year, the Rebecca Foundation has been in discussions with the management of the hospital to build a modern, fully equipped pediatric intensive care unit for the children's block. This is a facility that is urgently needed to save the lives of our precious children and arrest the needless infant mortality. The new facility will apply the same green technology used in the Komfo-Anokye mother and baby and pediatric intensive care units. It will therefore be a highly energy efficient building with reduced operating costs and facilitate better use of the hospital's limited resources. As we are aware, Korle-Bu is the nation's leading referral center. It receives patients from all the regions in Ghana and from some countries in the West African sub-region. We need to make sure the quality of care is absolutely the best standard in our sub-region. I'm happy today, therefore, to cut the sod for the construction of a pediatric intensive care unit. As a mother and grandmother, this is a project that I feel strongly about. Like the Komfo-Anokye mother and baby and pediatric intensive care units, we expect to finish this facility in record time. As I understand, every day lost means potentially losing lives. We know that tragedy happens sometimes, but when it does, at least we need to assure ourselves that we did all we could.
My colleague Seth Kwame Boateng has been speaking to engineers on the project.
What we've been asked to do is to build a ground story unit, but with capacity to extend in the future, so to allow for multi-story construction in the future. Currently, the way that it's been set up, it's partly a PICU, a pediatric intensive care unit, and also a NICU, a neonatal intensive care unit, a much smaller one, but alongside the PICU. Within PICU, there's a minimum of 20 beds, and then within the NICU, there are 3 rooms. There's some rooms again with cribs in them, like we had at Komfo-Anokye. We also have 4 incubators in one room to provide for infectious control, and we then have a separate room that has got 4 incubators and 4 cribs, where the doctor specifically asked for a separate room where they could look at and provide the care for babies that need intensive care and babies that also just need enhanced care.
Okay, so here too, there's not going to be any cross-infection as was the case in Kumasi, and as they already witnessed here, because where they currently are, is very congested. So there's not going to be cross infection, as it were.
Correct. We heard the CEO during his speech saying that was one of the major problems. The idea is to give further space, medical equipment, and every patient their own cot, crib, bed, depending on the age. This building will take care of children from newborns that have been referred to the hospital, but they were born outside Korle-Bu, all the way up to 12 years old.
And what's going to be the capacity? Any idea?
So initially, there's no space for about 43 children. Obviously, adding a few more beds here and there, they can increase a bit the capacity. But remember that the Korle-Bu already has a neonatal care unit on the maternity side. So this basically takes care of children and neonates that are born outside Korle-Bu.
And it's going to have the same equipment as we had in Kumasi,
Correct.
or as we have in Kumasi now?
The same way. We're going to look for the best brands to equip the building, the ones that provide the right technology, as well the proven technology that has worked in Ghana before, and with the right support teams to give support to the doctors and nurses.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's stay with the health sector. It was first established that the administrator of the Obengfo hospital, where a patient died during a procedure, was not licensed to operate as a plastic surgeon. Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, Stacey Ofedako, died under mysterious circumstances at the facility and her body sent to a morgue without the knowledge of her family. Today, the National Health Facilities Regulatory Agency is revealing that the hospital, which is thought to treat other conditions, has no license at all to run. Matthew Yao-Treme, registrar of the agency, has however advised the alleged crimes of Dr. Obeng be separated from the Obengfo Health Clinic and the Advanced Body Sculpt Center.
As that facility is concerned, we have not registered them officially. We are aware of them and we are in the process of doing that. As you know, the case is in court, so it really weakens anybody who has to do anything without compromising the court process. The Act says that any health facility, whether public or private, to be able to operate in Ghana should be registered and licensed by this agency. But I mean, there are a lot or some facilities or some parts of the country where they are not following the rules as have been laid down by law. But gradually the law will catch up with them, and we at HEFRA are making sure that we are following the processes to ensure that those who are supposed to register with us are properly registered with us.
Okay, let's use Obengfo as a case study. Have you made contact with that hospital?
Yes, we have. If we follow a process, we register a facility. In this case, because they were registered under the Private Hospital and Maternity Homes Board in 2003, they have a license which goes on because that board did not give any limit to licenses which are given to health facilities. But our process is that we will have to check, according to the law, all the things that need to be in place for us to be able to register them. So we are going through that process. In fact, on the 22nd of May, we did a review of the case, and we are embarking on certain actions to be able to ensure that they are on the right side of the law. But I mean, it has been right that some people have been advised not to use the facility because of the issues. And obviously what can happen is that until the court process is finished, they will have to maybe cease operation until the process. But if they want to insist on their legal rights as Ghanaian and as any business in this country, they can say that where the court process is going in place, you cannot prejudge what is going to be the determination by the judge. Therefore, things should carry on as they are until the court makes a determination. So the weakness in this case is the fact that the courts have taken this long to determine the matter. And therefore, there is some weakness in the system that is making it possible for them to operate.
Mr. Treme, you are referring to the appeals court process that Dr. Obeng Ando himself triggered after he had a run-in with the Medical and Dental Council, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that appeals court process has to do with Dr. Obeng Ando as an individual, his license to.
Yes.
But you regulate the agency, Obengfo Hospital, that facility, right? Yes. So the question here is that the registration process began, or licensing process began, as you told me, last year.
Yes.
Why has it taken about a year for it to conclude?
As I said, it's a process. And the process is checking and making sure that certain things are in place. So far as we are concerned, we are still in the process of making sure that all these things are in place. Okay? One of which is what I'm mentioning, the fact that Dr. Dominic Kwame Obengfo is one of the staff there. And we need to ensure that he is properly registered with the Medical and Dental Council. But he is not. And the reason why he is not is that he is in court. So we cannot go there and say, Dr. Obengfo, you are not properly registered with Medical and Dental Council, therefore we cannot do X, Y, Z. When that is determined, we will do what we have to do. But I would say that notwithstanding, we are following certain processes to ensure that that facility is doing the right thing according to the law. Dr. Obengfo, according to our records, is registered as the director of the place or the owner. We have one Dr. Moses Thompson, who is the practitioner in charge. Dr. Moses Thompson is properly registered with Medical and Dental Council. He's on the Gazette. We have done our check. He's in good standing with the Medical and Dental Council, and therefore he can be responsible with respect to the technical operation of the facility. But that notwithstanding, all the other medical staff that are there are also to be in good standing and having their pins and their professional qualifications and being regulated by the professional councils. Okay, we are aware of them. They were licensed under the private hospital and maternity homes board way back in 2003, which license gave no limit to expiration in terms of that license. Therefore, so far as maybe they are concerned, they are registered with that body. Okay. Now, the act when it came into force in 2012 or 2011 says that all those facilities that were registered before us, when the expiration of their license happens, they should begin the process of being licensed by us. Now, what we call that migration. So they are migrating from the old board to this agency. Okay, so, and I say that is a process, okay? And the process has got a weakness, and the weakness is that even though other things are in place at the hospital with respect to the infrastructure, the building, the equipment, and other personnel which we check, there's one person there who is the owner, who is a medical doctor, who is practicing against the advice of the Medical and Dental Council, which we cannot do much about because the case is in court. When that case is determined and it is finally decided that Dr. Obengfo is no longer registered with Medical and Dental Council, we would go in there and say that you cannot practice in this facility even though it belongs to you, because according to the law, you should be properly registered with a professional body and you should be in good standing with that professional body. Until that happens, we will not be able to tell him this, we will not be able to quote this part of the law to him. But I mean, obviously, there have been an advice to the general public not to use the facility because of this. We are going to go into the facility to check more things, okay, not because of what has happened, even though what has happened makes it more urgent. It's because we are following the process and making sure that things are in place. Now, after our checks, we would come out with a press statement or with advice to the general public and determine whether we can close the facility or not.
Now, away from that, the journey through life often entails mountains and valleys, climbing, descending as one grows. Some people are, however, born at the foot of the mountain and their first steps involve climbing. That is the story of Charity Machim, a second-year student of Yabram Community Day School, who has to fend for herself and her 8 siblings. Manasseh Azuriawuni recently traveled to Dambai and reports how Charity is determined to change the destiny of her family. Manasseh filed that report.
When I decided to follow Charity Machim to school, my focus was how difficult it was for students of Yabram Community Day Senior High School to walk 2.5 hours before getting to school. The school is located 9 kilometers from the Dambai town. After a few minutes, however, I had to switch on my recorder again when I engaged the 19-year-old girl on the financial burden of renting a room and living on one's own as a senior high school student. Her father is now too old to farm and cater for the family. Her mother has not recovered from the motor accident she suffered years ago and now lives in the northern region.
My father was with us here, but one of his brother left to north, so he said he's going to visit them. He's not yet in.
And your mother?
Up for her, she's also a sickler, so she's just roaming to find help for herself.
She's sick?
Yes, please.
What's wrong with her?
She was coming to us here and she had an accident on the way.
So Charity now has the burden of providing for her own needs and those of her 8 siblings who are all in school.
What's your name?
Savior.
Your name is Savior. How old are you?
8.
Are you sure you're 8? You are 8. And you, what's your name? Come.
My name is Makai.
Your name is?
Makai.
Makai. How old are you?
11 years.
11 years. Did you go to school today?
Yes.
Which school do you attend?
Adventist Academy.
Adventist Academy. For your church?
Yes.
She told me she and one of her younger sisters had to sell in the market and do other odd jobs to support their education.
The food stuff that we have been getting, unless we went and helped somewhere before we were able to feed on ourselves.
Charity wrote her BEc in 2015 and gained admission to private senior high school. There was no one to support her education, so she had to stay at home for a year and sold coconuts in the Dambai market. The following year, she raised enough money to pay her admission fees and buy uniform. She has, however, not been able to pay her fees for the 2nd year and says should the school decide to send students who owe fees home, that will be the end of her education. Charity and her siblings had to move from Paripari, a nearby village, to settle in Dambai in order to go to school. When their rent expired, they were evicted because they had no money to pay. A benevolent church member has given them a room to live in. But taking care of her other needs and those of her siblings is affecting her education.
We have the electricity, but we don't use light because if the landlady, he just help us to come and rent where we were. There's no money for us to pay the rent, so we left there, and she said we should come and stay with her here for a while. But because of the light bill, we don't use light, because if you use a light bill, you can't pay. We won't get money to pay.
And with all these challenges, how do you think that will affect your ambition of becoming a lawyer?
It will affect because I'm not able to sit up the way I'm supposed to do. So it will affect. Yes, it will affect. If I'm not able to sit down and learn well, it will affect, because without learning, there's no way you can succeed unless you learn hard before you can succeed or you can become someone great.
So where are the rest?
Let's stay with education. If you have a 3-unit classroom block for 254 pupils that are supposed to have 11 classes, how are you going to share them? Now listen, 4 classes are combined into 2 classrooms with no partition, and the rest are sitting on the trees. You can differentiate between the classes by the topic taught by the teacher in the class because the pupils are mixed together. On our Joint News agenda today, Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam visited Yele Primary and JHS in the Wa West district and reports that the number of instructional hours spent at the school depends on the movement of the sun.
The Yele Primary School was established some 13 years ago to address the challenges of pupils working long distances to have access to education. The school has a population of 254 pupils. However, they have this 3-unit classroom block for all the 11 stages of education at the basic level. 4 classes are combined here in 2 classrooms. The cruel reality, however, is that there is no partition and the pupils are mixed together. I met teacher Mohammed Aziz Kantonsong in this class, busily teaching building and design technology. Though the topic is meant for 6 students who will be writing the Basic Education Certificate Examination BEC next week, the other 13 students who are in JHS 2 are also sitting in the class but are not supposed to be active participants. Classes here are differentiated by the topics treated by the teacher.
First of all, you write a topic you have to treat and tell them this is for fund trace. They all know their topics. Fund trace. So you tell them this, we are teaching fund trace right now. After 35 minutes, I'm going back to fund 2. So that when you teach this one, you go back to the fund 2 again and teach them. That is how we teach them.
Final year student Kungara Desmond is not happy with the situation.
They are teaching year 3. If year 2 are also here, they can make noise. So if they are making noise, we can't hear anything about their teaching.
Headmaster of Yelayiri GA Primary and JHS, Mensa Tadios, speaks of the challenges involved in lumping the classes together.
Teaching and learning is not effective because we waste a lot of time. Because one teacher will engage 2 classes at the same time, who's supposed to be separate. So one teacher will be here, another will be here. Because of that, some teacher will even travel all the way from Y and come and sit. One person will occupy the class. Before we realize time is up, and the person will go back without teaching. It is affecting the academic performance of the students in the school.
Though among their colleagues at the school, the JHS1 students are the only ones having a classroom of their own. They also have challenges with their furniture. Teacher Naikum Paulina said, due to the inadequate furniture at the class, it makes it difficult to stop the students from copying.
You see 2 or 3 people pairing a furniture. It's not where one person is supposed to have this furniture, whereby 2 or 3 people will sit on one chair, and they find it difficult to copy notes or to write. When it's time for exam, they find out copying from those who are good, and those you find it difficult to even know who is even good or who is not good at all.
The case of pupils in the lower primary is different from that of their senior colleagues at the school. They rely on the shades of trees here for their studies. The number of instructional hours at the school depend on the movement of the sun. Yakubu Mariam teaches class 1.
Sometimes we'll be teaching while some of them are praying. Because we are not in the classroom, they will go out, but you can't see them. And meanwhile, the tree, there you can see the tree. It's not a neem tree. When it's 11 o'clock, we have to close because we don't have any place to sit again. And normally we're supposed to close at 1 or 1:30, but because of the tree, we close at 11.
At the kindergarten, there's no furniture. The pupils use stones, use wire boards, and logs as their furniture. Assemblyman of Very electoral area, Dara Joseph, is deeply concerned about the situation.
I'm not a happy man anytime I come to visit these children. Seeing them learning under such conditions, seeing the teacher teaching under such conditions, I'm never a happy person. So I'm worried about the situation, and I'm thinking that something must be done to help these children. We have been struggling with authority to come to our aid, but we are not getting any results. We are grateful for you today, and it is our hope that looking at the situation, if authority, the Honorable DCE, the Member of Parliament, the regional minister, the president, and all authority, seeing this situation, if they should come to our aid as a matter of agency, we'll be very grateful.
The government of Ghana, through the Ghana Education Trust Fund in 2015, awarded a contract for the construction of a 6-unit classroom block with ancillary facilities for the school. As I speak to you now, it's now been left abandoned and overtaken by grass. Hussein Ismail Enterprise Limited was awarded a project which he executed up to the lintel level. He told me off camera that he left the project due to delay by the GET Fund to pay him for work done. District Chief Executive for Wa West, Edward Labiru Sobo, expressed worry over the situation.
I can say Wa West is having a lot of GET Fund projects, but all of them, some are say above ground level, some are at the lifting level, some too you cannot even know the whereabouts of the contractors. I'm still struggling to get in touch with them, and I've informed them to calm down. This is not something you should be hiding. If you have a problem, you should come out to address it so that we know the way out. If you are not hiding, then we don't know how do we now start it. So I believe last week, summoned a meeting to all the contractors. We had a very beautiful deliberation with them to let everybody to be aware that if you have a challenge, let us know. So as at now, we are also working hard to see to it that all the GET Fund projects are completed.
Pupils in these schools need urgent help. They need government to ensure that the abandoned structures are completed to enable them achieve their lifelong dream. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Yile Yiri.
So family,
Now, Rafik will bring us another report from the northern part of Ghana because the race is on. 10 regions, 135 schools. The 2018 National Science and Maths Quiz enters the preliminary stages from 11th June 2018. Now, live on Joy News and also on GoTV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421, the National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime in partnership with GES and CHAS. Now, Ghana's so-called Ivy League schools have held on to the bragging rights for the National Science and Maths Quiz since its inception some 25 years ago. Schools from the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions often win, with Presec Legon and Prempeh College leading the pack. A school from the 3 northern regions is yet to win the competition. But as our Rafik Salam reports, one of the regular schools from the region this year is promising.
Started 25 years ago, the National Science and Maths Quiz is an annual competition that brings together students from the senior high school level across Ghana to display their science and mathematics skills. The annual event, which draws competitors from each region of Ghana, is aimed at promoting the study of science and mathematics and also helping students to develop quick thinking, among others.
Large trees with huge ridges called buttresses near the base. Rainforest, that's right.
At the end of the 2-day contest, St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary, Nandam Senior High, St. Ignatius of Loyola Senior High, Jiruba Senior High, and Canton Senior High schools qualified for the national event. St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary has been a regular participant at the national competition. They have also reached the grand finale, but were unable to win the ultimate prize. They hope that this time round they will be luckier.
Well, having entered this competition, I don't think we would deserve to have any other expectation other than to win, since we come from this institution and since that's our main aim. So of course we expect to go all the way and lift the trophy in the end.
Nandam Senior High School over the years have always qualified for the national competition, but has never been able to win the ultimate prize. A tutor at the school, Master Ziema, has hopes of winning the competition this time round.
We are going to work hard together with our students. As you rightly said, this is our golden jubilee year, and we hope to bring the trophy to crown it with our jubilee celebration.
Organizers of the competition were impressed with the outcome of the competition and looking forward to the national competition in June.
I think over the last 3 or so years, the National Science and Maths Quiz has offered equal opportunity to all schools. It has always been like that, but it seems that now the schools that some people would have termed underdogs are also showing that they are supremos in the competition. So we know that this year, being the 25th year, schools are going to show their best, and we are also expecting a very exciting contest come June and July 2018.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Remember, this is your official TV station for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. It's now time for business with Emmanuel Abuajibiafi. Now,